This week, Siskel and Ebert review stock car racer Tom Cruise struggling to make a comeback in Days of Thunder. A highway accident turns family man Bill Cosby into Ghost Dad. And Bruce Willis takes on more terrorists in Die Hard 2. It's all coming up next on Siskel and Ebert.
Bruce Willis is asking himself, why does this always have to happen to me in Die Hard 2, one of the new movies we'll be reviewing this week on Siskel and Ebert. We'll also take a look at the new Tom Cruise stock car racing film, Days of Thunder. I'm Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times.
And I'm Gene Siskel of the Chicago Tribune. Our first film is Die Hard 2, and why beat around the bush? I think Die Hard 2 is the best movie of this early summer season. We've had a lot of mindlessly violent action pictures this summer, a lot of brainless sequels. Die Hard 2 obviously could have fallen into both of those traps. However, instead, it is a tremendous piece of commercial American movie making, once again starring Bruce Willis as a gutsy cop who finds himself in a grand mess, this time at Washington's Dulles Airport, where hired mercenaries have taken over control of the airport's runways as part of an effort to liberate a captured South American strongman drug dealer who is arriving by plane. The bad guy in charge, called Colonel Stewart, is a former CIA operative who decides to show his power by giving phony landing instructions to an arriving London plane. He'll crash it, and then they'll know he's in charge. Bruce Willis, however, leaps into action.
There's somebody out there. It's McLean.
600 feet.
Looking good, Windsor. Now watch it. 30-knot crosswinds and the runway is icy.
Airspeed 125.
Attaboy, we've got you.
Fuel pressure good.
That's good.
We've got you.
Dropping.
The magic of this movie is that Willis is quite convincing as the lone soldier, triumphing over stupid bureaucrats and tracking down the bad guys. He finds their headquarters near the airport, and a snowmobile chase follows. Out to assist Bruce Willis is an Army captain played by John Amos, who has a grudging admiration for the way Willis has been risking his life.
McLean, you showed some out there, man. Thanks. Now show some good sense. Let the pros handle this.
Die Hard 2 is similar to the James Bond films in having its hero go through all kinds of major physical stunts. Here, Willis hitches a ride with a TV news crew helicopter to get to the plane that would take the drug baron to freedom.
Bring me down! Get it low! Keep over the wing! Lower!
I really mean that comparison with the James Bond films in terms of entertainment value. Die Hard 2 combines big-scale special effects and also quiet moments with its hero and a solid sense of humor in the style of the Bond pictures. Director Rennie Harlin, originally from Finland, I think he made Nightmare on Elm Street 4 previous to this. Here he's making his major filmmaking debut. He deserves congratulations, I think, for creating a convincing world at the airport. Great special effects involving the control tower and the landing field, and Bruce Willis, that solitary figure out in the snow at night, fighting against the big jets and hordes of mercenaries. Doug Richardson and Stephen D'Souza have written a witty script, too. I was mightily impressed by every aspect of this movie. All I can say after having thought that this summer was not that special is thank you to all involved.
I liked it very much, too. It's not the best movie of the summer. It's not as original as Dick Tracy, for one thing. But it is a very good movie, and one of the things that's best about it, and also scariest about it, is how convincing it is in terms of its aircraft footage. There was a crash in this movie that looked all too convincingly real. I think that this movie is going to be severely edited before it's shown in in-flight entertainment systems. And there's another scene where Willis ejects from a cockpit.
Fabulous.
And you remember the scene? He flies up until his face is a foot from the camera. Like this, and then back down again, and you think, what a place to put, you know it's special effects, but still, what a place to put the point of view. What a great shot. Thank you for going to the trouble of giving us this shot. And I agree with you that the movie, from beginning to end, for my money, is way superior to the original Die Hard, which...
Oh, I like that too, but this is...
It's good, but it's fun, you know.
This is really something special. I sat there aghast with pleasure. Is that possible?
No, but anyway, I know what you're trying to say, yes.
Yeah, I mean, when I saw the first shot outside the control tower, and there's special effects involved there, too. This is a terrific achievement.
Now, there are enormous holes in the plot of this movie, of course, including the fact that you wouldn't have the airplane circling for 2 hours, and they could all, of course, use their own radios to reach other ground radio stations, so that the entire crisis at the airport is completely nonsensical, but what the heck?
Well, I bought the picture. That was the one thing that I was thinking, is that they could obviously get to other airports, the other planes that are being held there. But other than that, I think this is superb.
Okay, coming up next, Bill Cosby is Ghost Dad. Sometimes you see him, sometimes you don't.
I'm not an alien. I'm Ghost.
People are coming from everywhere to play the $10 million blockbuster video game. Because the more you play, the more you can win. Win instantly or collect game pieces to win. Trips to the new Universal Studios Florida, where you can see the stars and ride the movies. With transportation by U.S. Air, America's most frequent flyer. Or up to $100,000 in cash. Millions of prizes in the $10 million blockbuster video game. Drop in and play.
Blockbuster video. Wow, what a difference.
Red Devil enamel. You can always count on its durable finish. Harder than ordinary paints, its beauty lasts and lasts. Red Devil enamel for the finish of a lifetime.
Ben, the stewardess yells, does anyone know how to land a 747? And I'm thinking, how tough can this be? Right?
As long as guys have been laying it on thick, so have we. Heinz Ketchup. The best things in life never change.
The stewardess thing is working. Yeah?
Mary Horton's talking.
Come on, Horton. Come on. Come on.
Ruffles. What?
Ruffles.
Ruffles?
Ruffles have ridges. He means the potato chips.
Ruffles have ridges?
Ridges are what make them so good.
Ruffles. Well, that's a funny thing to say.
Funny? It's printed right on the bag.
Ruffles. Yeah, but why can't he just say Mama and Dada?
Because that's not on the bag.
Our next movie is named Ghost Dad, starring Bill Cosby in the second major turkey in a row from this most popular of television stars. He's a ghost in this movie, and the rules are sometimes you see him and sometimes you don't, and you know you're in trouble when the best times are when you don't. Why is he so effective on the small screen and so lost on the big screen? The movie stars Cosby as a hard-working professional man, a widower with a teenage daughter and 2 smaller children. He's so busy he communicates to them with pre-recorded tape cassettes.
Right.
You
that
know,
was
this
funny,
is Daddy saying good night, Daddy, she says to the mini cassette recorder. One day he gets involved in a bizarre traffic accident, and as his body disappears inside a sinking taxi cab, Cosby's spirit begins to make appearances as a ghost.
What?
I am. You're an Iranian housewife. A fish. A ghost?
One of the neighbor kids is a snoop who sees Cosby's ghostly behavior and thinks he knows the explanation.
That you're an alien.
What?
I want $50,000 in small unmarked bills right now, or I go to the newspapers.
Ghost Dad is a short movie that feels real long with its strained attempts to wring humor out of the Cosby ghost in one awkward situation after another. Bill Cosby may not be one of the greatest actors of our age, but on TV he certainly does do a good job of bringing refreshing humor to a family situation. What went wrong in this movie? Why does he seem to go over the top with every emotion, overacting so obviously that he seems to be telegraphing every possible laugh? His face, if it's funny, he's like this. If it's sad, he's like this. If he's scared, he's like this. Until you think he must have gone to acting 101 over and over again and never graduated. There are all sorts of things wrong with the logic of this movie, like, for example, a scene where his boss is waiting in the next room and his whole job and his family's financial security is all on the line, so what does he do? He leaves the house for a chat with the lady next door. But never mind the logic. Nobody would care about that if Ghost Dad was funny, but it's not funny. It's one of the worst movies so far this year. Throw in last year if you want to.
Yeah.
Year before that.
I sat there very surprised. I don't know if he can't pick a script. Leonard Part 6 and then this. I mean, these are shockingly bad films. You come to them with goodwill because this is a comedian, so we always want to, we're prepared to laugh. Someone said to me that they think that, that because he's a stand-up comic at his core, that like Richard Pryor and other comic actors, you can throw in Robin Williams down the line, if they don't get a character that is as interesting as the one they play on stage in real life, they lose it right from the first frame. If he isn't as sharp as he is on stage doing stand-up or as a monologist, I can't understand it. To see him, it gets real sad when you see him doing special effects. Here you have this major entertainer and you see him flying through the air.
Just one clinker after another in this film.
It's dead from the first frame. Coming up next, another big summer movie, Days of Thunder, the race car story with Tom Cruise and Robert Duvall.
There's nothing I can't do with a race car.
Well, that's the difference between you and me. There's only so much I can do.
That's obvious.
It's summertime, 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 summertime.
If you've had your fill of this kind of fun, why not try something different this weekend? Now get Meat Lovers or new Veggie Lovers pizza for $9.99 or any two for just $4 more. It may not be your idea of a typical weekend get-together, but then that's the whole idea.
Our next film is Days of Thunder, the new Tom Cruise movie, with him portraying a cocky young amateur race car driver who wants to make it in the bigger world of championship stock car racing. As the film opens, Cruise auditions for businessman Randy Quaid and veteran crew chief Robert Duvall, who are trying to build a new team.
Tim tells me you've been running open wheels.
That's right.
And now you just want to up and drive NASCAR.
That's right.
What do you know about stock car racing?
Well, watch on television, of course.
You've seen it on television?
ESPN. The coverage is excellent. You'd be surprised at how much you can pick up.
The movie is mostly about the conflict between the rookie Cruise and the veteran Duvall, between the rookie's aggressiveness and the old pro's restraint.
I realize Harry's been around a long time. I'm not saying that his ways are antiquated, but it helped to have a car that handled properly and didn't blow engines.
Well, if he wouldn't get excited and over-rev, the engine wouldn't blow. Now, Cole, when you shift the gear and that little needle on the tack goes into the red and reads 9,000 RPM, that's bad.
Duvall steals the film as the crew chief, coddling and pushing his driver as he sees necessary.
Pace cars are about ready to duck on off. If you go to the outside, you can hold it.
All right, Harry, when it comes to the car, I take your word.
Naturally, there is a love interest in the film. Nicole Kidman from the movie Dead Calm plays the young doctor who cares for Cruise after he suffers a concussion.
Gotta be good at your job before you can enjoy the rest of your life. This is my job. That's all I know.
You know I can't watch you do this.
Claire, I'm more afraid of being nothing than I am of being hurt.
That's a good line, and there are many in this picture, written by Robert Towne, the superb Hollywood screenwriter, who makes the character of that doctor a whole lot tougher than you might expect. In one speech, he actually tears apart the whole macho world of car racing. Cruise's character also has some interest because he's been written as a dull, secretly scared guy. It is very rare, that moment when he confesses to Robert Duvall that he doesn't know anything about cars. I mean, I sat there and said, this is great. Somebody dared to do this.
I know how to drive them, but I don't know what any of the parts are called.
Yeah, I could identify with that. And what this film also does well, I think, is give us a sense of the crazy leap of faith these drivers make, whether it's passing on the outside or driving through a smoke-filled track when there's been a crash in front of them. At some point, you just have to go straight ahead. Days of Thunder has a flat ending. It has actually a terrible ending in its last frame. It's a still frame ending with two people frozen in images.
What a cliche.
I just resented that. Yeah. However, the film works in bits and pieces more than an entire picture. Even with those reservations, however, I still recommend it.
I recommend it too. I feel that auto racing is an extremely boring sport visually. Because you have three possible shots.
Yeah.
One shot is a pack of cars all going at once, so you don't know what's happening.
Right.
The other shot is two cars jockeying for position.
Right.
The third shot is a close-up of the driver. And that's all they have to show. In this movie, it seemed as if Cruise's car spent most of the movie being scraped against the wall by another car.
Right.
I have watched a little stock car racing on television. I don't think that they spend all of their time trying to drive each other into the walls, but they do in this film, and it's based on the strategy. Another thing that was a little bit predictable about this film is it has the same structure as Top Gun, The Color of Money, and Cocktail. Cruise is always the natively talented kid who's undisciplined.
Right.
There's always the older mentor. There's always the taller, wiser, more mature woman who brings him into her emotional sphere and helps him to grow up emotionally. There's always the first bad guy who later becomes his friend, and the second bad guy who's the real bad guy. And then apart from that, there's always the piece of equipment, whether it's a cocktail shaker, a pool cue, a jet airplane, or a car. These four movies could make a nice little match set.
Well, it's very good analysis, I must admit. I hadn't thought it out that carefully, but you're absolutely right, as you say. It doesn't make them bad.
No.
The things that surprised me were the character of the doctor, who is strong, but this time I thought stronger than even the air flight instructor in Top Gun in some way, and maybe because it's something medicine or somehow I could relate to it more. And then the Duvall performance. That's exceedingly well done. You would think it's just another good old boy. I was watching him even when he's moving in the foreground of the frame when the camera's on Cruise and you just see his shadow, his face. He's acting and doing...
He's a wonderful actor. He's wonderful in this movie. And don't forget Randy Quaid, who's also very convincing in that role.
Yes, he does.
Now, Cruise does a good job, but having seen him in Born on the 4th of July and seen him in that movie emerge as a very, very powerful actor, I wasn't that excited to see him doing the routine Tom Cruise role again.
Well, it may be routine, except that there are lines, as I said, written by Towne that make it stand out, where he isn't doing just the big hero here. This guy is kind of dull, and I think he knows that he's dull, too, in some way, limited.
Okay, coming up next, Death Leads to a Family Reunion at which everybody discovers things they didn't know and maybe didn't want to know about each other. May Fools is the new film by Louis Malle.
Vive la Révolution!
This baby is going to have a very special year of first steps, first words, first smiles. And none of these firsts will ever happen again. Now, if you were this baby's parents, which film would you choose? No other film in the world gives you truer color than Kodacolor Gold film.
I'm shocked. My big sister has a mildew problem in her spotless bathroom.
Lysol will get rid of it.
Takes care of that musty smell.
And what causes it?
So Lysol kills mold and mildew.
Sure. And it makes the bathroom smell fresh.
I'm impressed.
All it takes is Lysol.
Dull tiles will clear up when you put on a shining face. Your bathroom will cheer up when you put on a shining face.
Want clean that really shines? Lysol Basin Tub and Tile Cleaner lifts soap scum, disinfects too. Lysol Basin Tub and Tile Cleaner, now with an easy spray nozzle.
Put on a shining face.
Oh, mama, don't feed me no bologna. I don't want no ham and cheese. I want something hot and hearty. I want a man which please. Don't feed me no bologna.
Don't feed me no bologna.
I want a man which please. Ooh, I'm not talking turkey. I want a bigger deal. I don't feed me just a sandwich. I want a man which meal. Don't feed me no bologna.
Don't feed me no bologna.
I want a man which meal. Oh, a man which meal.
Our next movie is named May Fools, and it takes place in a very special May of 1968 in France, where for a few days it looked as if left-wing protesters would topple the French government, and rumors flew around the country that de Gaulle would have to flee. But all of that is far away from a French provincial farmhouse where a family has been brought together by the death of their matriarch. That dependable and droll actor Michel Piccoli stars in the movie as the son who has stayed behind to live on the farm while the others have gone off to the city in various professions.
Ah non, vous partagez pas les livres.
Et pourquoi pas?
Parce que les livres sont à moi. N'oubliez pas que je suis le seul à savoir lire à la famille.
The film's big scene is one of reconciliation, on the surface anyway, as the family gathers for a picnic after a few days of bickering, disagreement, and sexual intrigue. They're filled for the moment with the spirit of the revolution.
Les enfants seront élevés en pleine nature, ils n'iront plus à l'école. Ça se fait déjà, vous savez, en Arizona. Évidemment, il faudra supprimer le mariage.
Bien sûr, à chacun selon sa nature, et les femmes à tout le monde.
Les hommes aussi.
Le mariage, c'est le tombeau de l'amour.
May Fools was directed by Louis Malle, a filmmaker who seems seduced by projects that seem impossible. One of his most memorable films was Murmur of the Heart, a human comedy about the most unlikely of subjects, incest. Now he takes on death and all of its ramifications. Despite the title and period of the movie, though, May Fools isn't really about the 1968 upheavals so much as about the upheavals in a family that is undergoing its own revolution. There are so many members in the family and they have so many intrigues going on that I sometimes found it difficult to remember or care what everybody meant to everybody else. This is not one of Louis Malle's essential films, but it does have moments of insight and humor that make it special enough to recommend.
Yeah, not special enough for me. I mean, I am interested in either a family of interesting people where I feel there is a real conflict going on here. Here, I know it's a summer, sunny, kind of in-the-country picture. I didn't feel anything was really at risk, not really at risk. I thought it was so light, and then it is set. However, it may not be that the movie's about 68, but it is certainly pointedly set in 68, and it uses that time period. So I'm thinking, what is he saying about the 60s in some way? And, okay, so the Great Revolution didn't occur, but what does that say about these people?
Well, Gene, what I think he's saying here is something that could even apply to people who were involved in what went on in this country in the 60s, and that is that there was a moment when it seemed as if society was undergoing a fundamental reform.
Yes.
And that people were being freed from the restraints of the past.
Yes.
That is very clearly shown in this movie in a scene where the family just for a second toys with the notion of free love.
Right.
And it's shown in terms of the truck driver who turns up, and suddenly he's the representative proletarian who gets to become a free spirit for a second before he goes back to driving his truck. The movie is about that moment.
Well, you were saying before that it really wasn't about the 60s.
Well, it's about that moment in terms of that family.
Well, all I can tell you is that I don't think this film is very clear what it is about. I don't see it that way. That time period is precious, and the people that went through it, including you and me, know what it meant and carry it with us all the time. So I don't know that it should be trivialized in some way, and I just don't know what he's saying with these people.
Well, the bottom line is I guess I enjoyed it more than you do, and maybe it's because I liked, well, what you liked in a way, some of the little moments. You didn't like the little moments. Okay, then, I liked it for completely different reasons than you disliked it for, which is the best way to put it, I guess.
Okay, now let's recap the movies we reviewed on this show. 2 enthusiastic thumbs up for Die Hard 2, a great directing job by Rennie Harlan. I think it's nothing less than the best film of this summer. 2 thumbs down, though, way down for Ghost Dad, another disastrous would-be comedy starring Bill Cosby. 2 thumbs up with reservations for Days of Thunder, the Tom Cruise formula adventure rescued by a bright script by Robert Towne and a strong performance by Robert Duvall. And a split vote on Louis Malle's May Fools. Roger liked parts of the 60s family drama. I did not. And of course, I really want to send people to Die Hard 2. Here's a picture that has action in it. Yes, it does have some four-letter words in it, but at the same time, it is thoroughly, thoroughly entertaining.
That's it for this week. Next week, we'll be back with a special show called Breakthrough Stars of 1990. 8 actors who this year have really made an impact on us. That's next week. And until then, the balcony is closed.
Nestle Crunch. It's creamy milk chocolate and crispy crunchies. Chocolate is scrumptious when it crunches. That's why you'll love Nestle Crunch. Who is...
Last a lifetime.